LA Confidential recreated 1950s Los Angeles with remarkable historical accuracy while launching Russell Crowe and Guy Pearce to international stardom. Both actors were relatively unknown in North America before this film. These are 18 hidden details you completely missed in LA Confidential. Number 18. The movie adapts James Ellroy's 1990 novel, the third book in the LA Quartet series exploring police corruption and Hollywood scandals throughout post-war Los Angeles. The novel contains dozens of characters and multiple subplots spanning over 400 pages, making it extremely difficult to condense into a 2-hour film. Screenwriters Curtis Hanson and Brian Helgeland simplified the narrative while preserving the central corruption storyline that made Ellroy's book compelling. Hanson spent months working with Helgeland to identify which characters were absolutely essential to the core story. Watch how the film focuses on 3 officers rather than the novel's much larger ensemble of detectives, criminals, and politicians. The streamlined approach allowed audiences to follow the intricate conspiracy without getting lost in excessive subplots. Number 17. The film's title refers to the real 1950s celebrity gossip magazine Confidential, famous for exposing Hollywood scandals involving major stars, politicians, and other public figures. In the movie, the tabloid Hush Hush serves as a fictional version of that notorious publication. Danny DeVito's character Sid Hudgens represents this tabloid culture perfectly, operating as a sleazy journalist who trades information with corrupt police officers for exclusive stories. Curtis Hanson researched actual issues of Confidential magazine to understand how it operated during the 1950s and influenced law enforcement. Look at the Hush Hush office scenes where photos and scandal stories cover the walls, recreating the magazine's exploitative atmosphere. DeVito's performance captures the predatory nature of tabloid journalism during Hollywood's golden age. The Real Confidential eventually faced multiple lawsuits from outraged celebrities. Number 16. When the movie was made, Russell Crowe and Guy Pearce were not well known to US audiences despite having established successful careers in Australian film and television. Crowe had appeared in smaller Hollywood roles, including The Quick and the Dead, but was not yet a recognized star. Curtis Hanson took a significant risk casting relative unknowns in leading roles instead of established American stars that studios preferred. Their powerful performances helped establish both actors internationally, launching major Hollywood careers that followed. Compare their restrained, authentic performances to Kevin Spacey's more experienced and polished screen presence throughout the film. Watch how Crowe and Pearce bring raw intensity to their roles, unpolished by typical Hollywood conventions. Studio executives initially pushed for bigger names, but Hanson refused to compromise. Number 15. Curtis Hanson had the lead actors study real police training films and interact extensively with law enforcement to understand 1950s policing methods before filming began at various Los Angeles locations. Crowe, Pearce, and Spacey spent weeks reviewing archival footage showing how detectives conducted interrogations, arrests, and investigations during that era. This intensive preparation influenced the stiff posture and controlled behavior seen in their performances throughout the entire film. Hanson wanted the actors to deeply understand the psychology of officers who operated with near absolute authority during the 1950s. Notice Ed Exley's rigid, rule-following demeanor during interrogations compared to Bud White's physical intimidation tactics and violent approach. The stark contrast reflects genuine policing differences that existed within departments, creating authentic tension between characters rather than manufactured conflict. Number 14. Curtis Hanson organized 6 weeks of intensive rehearsal discussions before filming, where actors and writers analyzed every scene in extensive detail at various studio locations. This unusual process gave the cast valuable time to refine character motivations and understand the complex relationships between corrupt officers, criminals, and politicians. Brian Helgeland participated actively in these sessions, making script adjustments based on the actors' insights about their characters. Most Hollywood productions rush through rehearsals or skip them entirely due to budget constraints and tight production schedules. Watch how the 3 detectives have very different moral perspectives that clash throughout the investigation and drive the narrative. Russell Crowe, Guy Pearce, and Kevin Spacey developed their characters' distinct worldviews during these intensive weeks. The rehearsal period built genuine chemistry between the ensemble cast. Number 13. Cinematographer Dante Spinotti was told not to imitate classic noir lighting, but instead shoot the movie more naturally, avoiding the heavy shadows and dramatic contrasts typical of 1940s detective films. Curtis Hanson wanted a contemporary visual style despite the 1950s setting, believing overly stylized lighting would distance modern audiences from the story. Spinotti used realistic lighting that captured the actual look of Los Angeles during that period, rather than romanticized noir aesthetics popularized by earlier films. This approach created a documentary-like quality that made the corruption and violence feel immediate and disturbing instead of glamorous. Interior scenes often use realistic lighting rather than dramatic shadows, especially during interrogation and investigation sequences. Watch how nightclub and restaurant scenes feel authentic to the era without looking like vintage photographs or nostalgic recreations. Number 12. The production used authentic Los Angeles locations such as the Formosa Cafe, the Frolic Room, and Crossroads of the World Shopping Center to maintain historical period authenticity. These historic landmarks still existed in the 1990s, allowing Dante Spinotti to capture genuine 1950s architecture without extensive digital alteration. Production designer Janine Opperwall scouted Los Angeles for months, finding locations that had not been significantly modernized since the post-war era. Hanson prioritized shooting in real places rather than constructing elaborate studio sets that would drain the production budget. The Formosa Cafe appears in several key scenes where detectives and criminals meet to exchange information. Look at the nightclub scenes and Hollywood streets for these real locations that authentically transport viewers to mid-century Los Angeles. Number 11. The house used for Lynn Bracken's residence is the Lovell House, a modernist building designed by renowned architect Richard Neutra in 1929 as a revolutionary residential structure. This architectural landmark represents one of the first steel frame houses built in the United States, featuring distinctive international style design principles. Janine Opperwall selected this specific location because its striking modernist aesthetic contrasted sharply with the traditional Hollywood glamour associated with the era. Curtis Hanson wanted Lynn's home to feel sophisticated and unconventional, matching her character's independent nature and modern sensibilities. The house's distinctive hillside architecture appears in several key scenes, particularly during intimate conversations between Lynn and Bud White. Watch how the open floor plan and geometric windows create a sense of exposure and vulnerability during intimate moments between characters. Number 10. With a production budget of approximately $35 million, the filmmakers strategically used real locations whenever possible to control costs and maximize production value. Only a few sets, such as the Victory Motel where the pivotal Night Owl massacre occurs, were constructed from scratch on sound stages. Janine Opperwall worked closely with Curtis Hanson to determine which scenes required built environments versus actual locations in Los Angeles. The Victory Motel set allowed precise control over the crime scene layout and camera angles for the film's pivotal massacre sequence. Building this controlled set was ultimately cheaper than shutting down and modifying a real motel for the extended shooting schedule required. Many street scenes look authentic because they are filmed in real locations in historic neighborhoods that retained their 1950s architectural character. Number 9. The story unfolds in 1953 Los Angeles, during a specific time when organized crime and Hollywood celebrity culture intersected heavily with law enforcement scandals and corruption. This specific year was chosen because it represented the peak of both Mickey Cohen's criminal empire and the LAPD's institutional corruption. Curtis Hanson and Brian Helgeland researched this period extensively to understand the complex power dynamics between gangsters, police, and politicians. The early 1950s offered a perfect setting for exploring themes of moral ambiguity and institutional corruption in post-war America. Cars, clothing, and architecture all reflect early 1950s design, with Janine Opperwall ensuring meticulous historical accuracy in every detail. Watch how costume design shows the conservative dress codes and social expectations governing both criminals and police during this conformist era. Number 8. The opening Hollywood premiere in the movie shows When Worlds Collide, a real 1951 science fiction film produced by George Pal that was popular during that era. This authentic detail immediately establishes the film's commitment to historical accuracy in recreating 1950s Hollywood culture and celebrity worship. Janine Opperwall researched actual movie premieres from that era to understand how studios staged these glamorous publicity events for maximum exposure. Curtis Hanson wanted the opening sequence to contrast Hollywood's manufactured glamour with the brutal violence that follows just minutes later. The premiere scene features period-accurate searchlights and vintage automobiles matching actual red carpet events from the early 1950s. Watch how the scene captures the intersection of celebrity worship and crime that defined Los Angeles during this era. The juxtaposition sets the film's thematic tone. Number 7. Kim Basinger's character Lynn Bracken is inspired by classic film noir actresses, especially Veronica Lake, whose signature peekaboo hairstyle became iconic during the 1940s. Curtis Hanson encouraged Basinger to study Lake's films to understand the combination of glamour and vulnerability that defined 1940s screen sirens. Lynn works for Pierce Patchett's prostitution service, where women are surgically altered to resemble movie stars for wealthy clients. Basinger's hairstyle and wardrobe mimic 1940s Hollywood glamour rather than the evolving mid-1950s styles when the film actually takes place. Costume designer Ruth Myers worked closely with Basinger to develop looks that referenced Lake without simply copying her appearance directly. Watch how Lynn's visual presentation evokes old Hollywood while her character possesses modern independence. The irony of becoming a copy drives much of her character development. Number 6. Filming took place in Los Angeles neighborhoods including Angelino Heights, Lincoln Heights, and Koreatown, which retained significant architectural elements from the 1950s era. The location manager spent months identifying streets and buildings that had not been significantly altered by decades of urban development and modernization. These historic districts provided authentic backdrops for police investigation scenes without requiring extensive set dressing or expensive digital manipulation. Dante Spinotti used natural light whenever possible in these locations to maintain the documentary-style realism Curtis Hanson wanted throughout the film. The police investigation scenes showcase these historic districts, particularly during the door-to-door searches following the Night Owl massacre. Watch how residential architecture and street layouts feel genuinely period-appropriate rather than artificially staged. Number 5. Critics widely describe the film as a modern revival of classic film noir storytelling, mixing corruption, moral ambiguity, and detective narratives in ways Hollywood had largely abandoned. Curtis Hanson consciously drew inspiration from noir masterpieces like Chinatown and The Long Goodbye while creating something contemporary. The film demonstrated that noir themes of institutional corruption and compromised heroes still resonated powerfully with 1990s audiences. Brian Helgeland preserved James Ellroy's dark vision of Los Angeles as a city where everyone operates with mixed motives. Characters operate in shades of gray rather than clear hero-villain roles, with even the most righteous cop committing morally questionable acts. The film's critical and commercial success proved audiences still craved intelligent crime dramas. Number 4. A print of the film was secretly shown at the Cannes Film Festival before its official release, where it received strong reactions from international critics. Curtis Hanson wanted prestigious festival exposure to position the film as a serious artistic achievement rather than just another crime thriller. The Cannes screening generated early buzz that significantly helped the film's marketing campaign emphasize its quality. Producer Arnon Milchan supported the festival strategy, believing critical acclaim would drive word-of-mouth recommendations. The film's prestige tone reflects its festival reception, with European critics particularly praising the moral complexity. Brian Helgeland attended the screening and witnessed firsthand how international audiences responded to the layered narrative. The positive Cannes reaction gave the studio confidence for award season. Number 3. At the 1998 Academy Awards, the movie received 9 nominations including Best Picture, Best Director for Curtis Hanson, and acting nominations for Kim Basinger's supporting performance. The nominations recognized exceptional achievements in cinematography by Dante Spinotti, adapted screenplay, editing, art direction, sound, and original score by Jerry Goldsmith. This level of recognition was unusual for a crime thriller, which the Academy typically overlooked in favor of prestige dramas and period pieces. The nominations validated Hanson's approach of treating genre material with artistic seriousness rather than formulaic execution and standard conventions. Its craftsmanship is visible in the elaborate period sets and cinematography that recreated 1950s Los Angeles with meticulous attention to detail. The multiple nominations positioned it as the main competitor to Titanic during awards season, though it faced an uphill battle. Number 2. The film won Best Supporting Actress for Kim Basinger and Best Adapted Screenplay for Curtis Hanson and Brian Helgeland at the 1998 Academy Awards ceremony. Basinger's victory surprised many observers who expected Gloria Stewart from Titanic to win, but Academy voters responded to her nuanced performance. The Screenplay Award recognized the extraordinary challenge of condensing James Ellroy's dense novel into a coherent film narrative without sacrificing thematic complexity. Hanson and Helgeland spent over a year refining the script, cutting dozens of characters and subplots while preserving the story's moral ambiguity. Basinger's performance as Lynn Bracken anchors several emotional scenes, particularly her developing relationship with Russell Crowe's Bud White. Watch how she conveys intelligence and vulnerability simultaneously, creating a multidimensional character. Both wins gave the film lasting credibility and critical respect. Number 1. The movie received near universal critical acclaim and still holds a 99% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, one of the highest scores for any film. It is often ranked among the greatest neo-noir films ever made, alongside classics like Chinatown and The Long Goodbye. Critics praised Curtis Hanson for balancing complex plotting with emotional depth, creating characters audiences cared about despite their moral compromises and questionable actions. Roger Ebert included it on his list of the decade's best films, calling it intelligent Hollywood storytelling at its finest. The final confrontation between Exley and White reflects the film's moral complexity, forcing viewers to question which character truly represents justice. Watch how the ending refuses easy answers or simple resolutions. The film's enduring reputation demonstrates that quality crime dramas can achieve lasting cultural impact. LA Confidential stands out because it blends real historical inspiration, meticulous period reconstruction, and deeply layered characters. The result is a crime film that feels both classic and modern at the same time, reviving film noir for a new generation. Which hidden detail surprised you most, and what film should we open next?